Your brain doesn't shut down when you die. It explodes into the most intense conscious experience of your entire life. In 2013, scientists made a discovery that shattered everything we thought we knew about death. When they monitored dying mice, instead of finding the expected silence, they discovered something extraordinary. The brain became more synchronized and more active than when the animals were fully alive. Even more shocking, 20% of people who've been clinically dead and brought back report experiences so vivid and profound that they describe them as more real than reality itself. We're about to explore the brain's final symphony, a last burst of consciousness that might be the most important moment of human existence. Prepare to have your understanding of death completely transformed. Let me tell you about an experiment that turned our understanding of death upside down. In 2013, researchers at the University of Michigan were studying what happens in the brain during cardiac arrest. They expected to find exactly what you'd expect: silence, darkness, the gradual shutdown of consciousness. Instead, they discovered something that left the scientific community stunned. Even after the heart stopped beating and breathing ceased, the dying mice showed intense gamma wave activity throughout their brains. But here's the kicker. These gamma waves weren't just present, they were more synchronized than when the animals were healthy and alive. Think about what this means. Gamma waves are the signature of conscious perception in humans. They fire when you're actively processing information, understanding something, or having a moment of insight. These are the same brain waves that light up during meditation, deep focus, or profound realizations. So the brain, at the moment of death, wasn't shutting down. It was having what scientists can only describe as a supercharged conscious experience. It's as if the brain was mobilizing every mental resource it had in one final, desperate attempt to sustain life. Like a last-ditch evolutionary response saying, "Not yet, there's still hope." This discovery forced scientists to confront an uncomfortable truth. We've been completely wrong about what happens when we die. Death isn't the sudden blackout we imagined. It's the brain's most intense moment of consciousness. Now, you might be thinking, that's fascinating, but mice aren't humans. And you'd be right to question that. So researchers at Imperial College London decided to investigate whether humans experience something similar. What they found was even more remarkable. About 20% of people who've been clinically dead and resuscitated report near-death experiences. Vivid hallucinations involving white light, life reviews, and profound spiritual encounters. But here's where it gets really interesting. In 2018, these same researchers gave volunteers controlled doses of DMT, one of the most powerful psychedelic substances known to science. The results were mind-blowing. People under the influence of DMT reported experiences virtually identical to those described by near-death experience survivors. Both groups talked about transcending space and time, becoming one with the universe, and experiencing a reality that felt more real than ordinary consciousness. This led to a revolutionary conclusion. At the moment of death, the human brain essentially becomes a natural drug factory, producing an experience so intense that it rivals the most powerful psychedelics ever discovered. But unlike taking an external substance, this is something your brain creates entirely on its own. Chris Timmerman, one of the lead researchers, believes this happens through an instantaneous surge in the brain's electrochemical activity. It's like every neuron in your brain firing at maximum capacity in one final coordinated symphony of consciousness. Here's where the story gets even more fascinating. The research revealed that this surge of brain activity is concentrated in the middle temporal lobes, areas responsible for memory, dreaming, and learning. But most importantly, regions related to time perception go absolutely haywire. This explains one of the most commonly reported aspects of near-death experiences, the life review. People describe seeing their entire life flash before their eyes, like a film strip, but not in a rushed, panicked way. Instead, they report experiencing decades of memories in perfect detail, as if they had all the time in the world to process each moment. The brain essentially breaks time during this final surge. What might just be seconds of real-time brain activity can subjectively feel like a lifetime. Imagine having access to every memory you've ever formed, every lesson you've learned, every relationship you've cherished, all experienced simultaneously with perfect clarity. Timmerman describes this as the brain performing a kind of simulation, a comprehensive review and integration of everything that made you who you are. It's not just remembering, it's re-experiencing your entire existence from a perspective of complete understanding. And here's something that might give you comfort. Both near-death experience survivors and DMT subjects consistently report that these experiences are completely painless and free from suffering. In fact, as death approaches, our senses shut down in specific order. Hunger and thirst go first, then speech and sight, with hearing and touch being the very last to fade. This means that in those final moments, people can still perceive your voice and feel your touch, even when everything else has gone quiet. If you like the video, don't forget to hit the like button, comment below with your thoughts on consciousness and death, and subscribe to the channel for more mind-expanding content. What these discoveries are telling us is that we need to completely reframe how we think about death. For centuries, we viewed death as a transition into nothingness, a silent, dark end to consciousness. But science is revealing something far more profound and, frankly, beautiful. Death appears to be the brain's final masterpiece, a last storm of consciousness that brings together everything that made you uniquely you. It's not just a void or an ending, it's what researchers are calling a farewell symphony of the mind. This isn't just poetic language, it's backed by hard neuroscience. The patterns we see in dying brains suggest that consciousness doesn't simply switch off like a light. Instead, it burns brightest in those final moments, creating an experience that might be the most vivid and meaningful of your entire existence. And here's something profound to consider. If our brains are capable of creating such intense, meaningful experiences at the moment of death, what does that tell us about the nature of consciousness itself? Are we underestimating the brain's capacity for creating reality? Are the boundaries between what's real and what's experienced more fluid than we thought?
Now, I want to be clear. This research isn't meant to romanticize death or make light of the grief and loss that comes with it. Death is still the end of our physical existence, and the pain of losing someone is real and valid. But these findings do offer us something profound, a new perspective on what might be the most universal human experience. They suggest that death isn't the cold, empty void we've always feared. Instead, it might be a moment of ultimate clarity, understanding, and peace. The brain's final symphony appears to be a last gift, a chance to experience the full richness of consciousness one final time. It's as if the brain says, "Before we go, let me show you everything we've experienced together, in perfect clarity, without pain or fear." This research is still evolving. Scientists are developing better imaging techniques that might allow us to directly observe what happens in the human brain during these final moments. We're on the verge of understanding one of life's greatest mysteries. The more we learn about death, the more we appreciate life. These discoveries remind us that consciousness is far more mysterious and beautiful than we ever imagined. If the brain can create such profound experiences in its final moments, imagine what it's capable of during the decades we have to live. The ultimate message isn't about death, it's about life. Knowing that our brains are capable of such magnificent final symphonies should inspire us to make every moment count, to live fully and consciously while we have the chance. Death may not be the ending we thought it was, but life, this amazing conscious experience we're having right now, is still the most precious gift we have. So let's truly live while we're living.
Because if the brain's farewell symphony is this beautiful, imagine how incredible the whole concert can be.